Yo, what's up guys? I'm back at home again, talking about balance patch prediction. Well, first of all, when is it going to be? Well, the balance patch most of the time is around the 27th of the end of the month, so every other month, so that should be, in this case, the 27th as well. However, we just finished the Siege tournament. We don't have anything RTA related. However, we will have SWC kicking off on the 7th and the 8th of August over here. So if they do the balance patch here, there will be not that much time for the people to prepare over there. However, that is one of those things, since it is close to an SWC, are they going to be changing that much? Well, there's definitely a few interesting talks at the moment, because we have this one particular unit which actually already climbed to the ranks of the most picked unit. It overtook the Megumi in G3 already. Not sure. Yeah, most of the time, like, lower ranks are a little bit later to catch up on metas and stuff, so it's not the most picked just yet, but it's getting pretty close on that one. So that is definitely one of those things. But back to the question of the when, I do expect it here. That would be the normal time for a balance patch to happen. But I wouldn't mind it if it was any earlier and they just like push it a little bit earlier, just to give the SWC players a little bit more time to prepare and know if they actually have to go for the Windstark or not. So I would say week of 27th is what I expect. So probably on the 27th itself as well. Well, then, talking about nerfs, this is going to be an interesting one, because Windstark, normally when a new collab unit is released, it's never nerfed right away in that same patch. So therefore, with that logic, Windstark should not be nerfed. However, does he really deserve a nerf? Yes, I made a video in the past talking about units which was pretty much the strongest unit at a prime time. This looks stronger than Prime Oliver, Prime Dominic, like all of those kind of units. He is stronger than that because he's relatively easy to pick up. Everyone will have this unit that is at the high end of like SWC, but also just most people will have this like in the first place. And also the pairing of some of these things, like 60%, 58%, like all of these units just have like crazy good win rates with this Stark thing. We can now also look at what kind of builds are doing best for him. Funny enough, crit damage is doing really good. I'm surprised that crit damage is doing that good. I was expecting him more of a crit rate kind of unit. But then again, might give him a trial that if he's not nerfed. So yeah, then back to the original question, is he actually gonna get nerfed? Well, he's really easy to nerf. And then the easiest nerfs they can do is A2B gain 15 or 20%. Or we could go for a damage increase to a less. Like, these two changes are super easy to nerf him. The question is, are they actually going to do that? Will they do that, though? I don't know. I think that he's that crazy good that it could be like one of those things that they probably should do. Because otherwise, for all of the SWC prelims, he's going to be crazy OP. And then we will have a balance patch here at the end of September, which is pretty close to then a bunch of the cups. Then he's going to get crazy hard nerf, because he will definitely have about that nerf. Like, I can guarantee you he will get a nerf. Question is just, when does he get his nerf? So that's one of those things. One thing that I can write, something buffed to counter Windstark. I think that that is one of those things that I do expect as a nerf as well, or as a buff as well, but like a double up kind of thing that Countless likes to do. Well, then let's talk about nerfs of other units that are pretty dominant in the current meta. I would say we do have, if we check by highest win rate, Wind or the Light Fern is super high on win rate as well. I think they will let that one slide, even though it's like the win rate is... Oh, wait, that's actually way higher the win rate than I expected. What the... I did not notice this 3.3 extra. Wait, she is literally at like a 59.2. Jesus, that's an insane win rate. I would say Light Fern, if we're on it off the nerfing train anyways, remove damage reduce. Like, it's one of those things in her passive, like, why the fuck does she need a damage reduction? Like, her passive is loaded enough by just giving the attack bar gain the reflex. There's no need for this 20%. Just remove that thing altogether, and then she's probably still 55% win rate. But yeah, that's just one of those things that I think is a little bit overdone in that kit. But yep. Then we have some nerfs over here. So I think Han is not that crazy. Josephine is definitely elevated by having extra value of being paired with the Stark. Funny enough, Dark Stark is also crazy good with Windstark, but I think Dark Stark, I'll completely let that one slide, mainly because it's just a Windstark elevated kind of unit. We have to kind of keep that in mind with some of those units, same with like a Valeska over here and Ragdoll. Like, those kind of units are good, but they're good because of the Windstark being good with them. But Josephine kind of as well, but I would not really mind to see Josephine a slight nerf, and it's just slight, like, let's just say less shield. Pretty much just that. Like, you cannot really change her mechanics that much. If you make her provoke 1 turn again, it's going to be bad. If you make her stun less chance, it's going to be bad. So I think a little bit less shield, just a slight bit of a tweak, and it's fine. I think for Seimei is also mainly good because it's good against the Windstark and good with the Windstark, so it's not that crazy. Lima is definitely one of those. It's actually one of the most picked units in game, which is kind of funny. Yeah, Lima is number 4 most picked unit in game. Is also good with the Windstark, but I think Lima will actually be headbutting a nerf. Even though Lima was only good for 1 balance patch so far, I think she will take a slight bit of a nerf, which is the... So it's either removing the invis or the recovery of the S3 goes to 1 turn. Or what you could also do is to lower slow chance if no stirrup. I think that that could be a thing that they could add to it. Or over here, that they keep the 3-turn immunity, remove the invisibility, or that they make this recovery for 2 turns. I think those are the slight nerfs you can give to a Lima. Not gutting her, but also she is a bit elevated by the Windstark being really good, though. So that's definitely one of those things to keep in mind. Valeska, kind of the same thing. Well, Valeska is the best pair with the Windstark, so I'm gonna definitely let that one slide right there. Gianna is still a high pick, but not good on win rate. Same for Viva Chell, so those are definitely not targets to be looking at. Greg is having a rough time, mainly because of also the Stark, kind of. It's good with the Stark, but kind of bad against it. There are a few units, though, which were good in previous meta, and we have seen it with Counters before, that they're mostly balancing units 1 meta too late. It happened to, like, Neftis, it happened to a whole bunch of other units. So I'm kind of expecting a Song Shang Lao nerf and maybe a Dark Zenny nerf, mainly by that logic. Not that I think that they should be nerfed, but more by the fact that they are just 1 balance patch late with nerfing certain units, and therefore they will actually get the nerf right now. Plus, Zhongxin Lao is heavily siege defense meta as well. So for that reason, I think Zhongxin Lao, one of the easier nerfs you could do without, like, instantly gutting the unit, is by, we have this stun chance 75, yep. I think Countess will do the Countess logic, which I'm not gonna like, which is make the Death Break S3 75 check. I think that Countess will do something like this, or you're gonna make the cleanse block only first hit. Like, one of those things. I would not mind the second part. I would rather see this than I see this. But this is a very Countess style of nerf, so I kind of expect this. If we're looking at the Dark Zenny, his current win rate is still pretty darn strong. And I would say easiest nerf for him would simply be less damage for crit scaling. That's pretty much the only thing that you have to do for him. A slightly bit less damage, and I would still keep his attack bar gain. Like, yeah, if they start making this attack bar gain just 10% rather than 50%, I think that would be a little bit hard of a nerf, especially on the S2 multi-hits and stuff. But just a little bit less damage output for his attack bar or for his crits, I think it would be good. Let's see, are there any other units which I would see headbutting a nerf as of yet? I don't think so. I think everything else is kind of in check, like the Laura, Aragorn, all of those units are kind of in check. They're not really crazy something. And one thing that I would maybe see, but that is more just by most picked units kind of style in here, which I would see Shiho, and that's kind of more of a change than like a buff or a nerf. And that would be Invis 1 turn, S3 higher rate of stun. I think that something like this, that is like both a nerf and a buff, but it makes him more consistent to land his skill 3. And it makes him less like of a unit that will solo a whole team because he perfectly rotate his invisibility for 2 turns. So still keep the 2-turn immunity, but make this a higher chance of your stun. So let's say 35%. But then the invisibility of a 1 turn. So just a little bit more of consistency in there for the stun. And a little bit less of a chance to just 1v4 the whole team if he gets like perfect rotations off. Megumi on the nerf though, I'm not too sure. I'm also, well, I would not really not mind it if Megumi S3 on the passive just gets 25% bar. Just really small tweak just to get him a little bit less annoying rather than just like the full on 30 bar all the time. But just a small tweak right there. Siege-wise, I'm not really expecting any nerfs. Any other of the LDs, I'm not really expecting a nerf. I'm actually happening 2 of my main core units in here right now with the nerf, so don't call me biased that I don't want to nerf my own units. These are just nerfs that I'm expecting. Well, then let's talk about buffs. Buffs are always a bit more random because they randomly take in a Lima or this unit or that unit for buffs. But there's a few obvious buffs that we can be looking at. So something to buff the Windstark, which could be a Tarnisha or a Thessarion. Like those kind of units you could see getting a buff. I've seen some people try this against the Windstark already. Not the greatest of success. How would you make that any better? I'm not 100% sure. You could do the weird thing where you would say it's like this S2 of Oblivion is... S2 is guaranteed land. Is an option. You still want to go 85 accuracy on it regardless, but at least you have something landing regardless. That's or another debuff like attack break. Because attack break is actually a hard counter to the Stark. If you attack break him, he has a lot less damage output right there. Therefore, also he is attack scaling. So, but something along those lines, I think you could do. The Thessarion on the other side is actually doing pretty decent. Okay, does not have enough matches in just yet. Okay, he actually has a positive win rate against Windstark already. So that is one of those things that he could actually be a good one for that. And easiest way to actually make him good would be a S3 cleanse block. Because that's the main core thing with a Thessarion, where Thessarion becomes bad. Like, let's say you play a Thessarion and you have to cleanse block 3 different kind of supports. That also cleanses all one another. That is the big issue, because if you go for Oblivion on the Angela, then a Gandalf will cleanse that off. Or a Raccoon will cleanse that off. If he has a cleanse block on his S3, I think he will definitely become meta. Like 100%. Because that just gives you way more chance for your Oblivion to stick. And then he becomes a really good unit in the first place. So, Cleanse Block on a Thessarion, now to think of it, that would make him good. And that would actually make him very usable too. Then another family that's been added recently that hasn't had any balance patch as of yet, which is the full family of those. To be honest, I don't even know exactly what skills they do. So let me check that out first. Okay, so the water one is the one that goes for an AoE strip. And then increases your attack bar, and then you can cycle that into defense breaking the enemy with a relative low chance. The fire one is the one that amplifies the damage the moment he's stunned. He's already used, just for Temple of Chaos, but at least he's already used. The wind one is the one that gives the provoke and then also block them from receiving harmful effects. Have never seen this one being used. Light one is used a little bit in RTA. I think that is the one where you draw all of the effects towards you and then you can throw them off. And the dark one is actually used a decent bit. I've mainly seen used against Okeanos and Zhongcheng Laos, where you get stunned, you give bar to the whole team, and you get extra bar and that kind of stuff. Not a crazy good unit, but mainly paired with a Han into a AoE stun team on the enemy side, I could see that being used. Then let's talk about the buffs. I think easiest thing for Water One to do is to 100% Death Break. I think that is the easiest thing they can do, because that would also be good for the other one that also has it. This one has it over here, and we also have it over here. So those are the 3 that are actually not used as much. So I think all of those 3 can get a 100% for the Head Bomb right there. For your S3, a steal and attack bar gain. I'm not too sure what you really would like to add to that. What do they have for leader skills? Oh, they have like the elemental leader skill for crit rate. Yeah, I can't really see that. Would you make this unit a 119 base unit? No, that would maybe make him too OP. Like if you give this thing a awakening into base speed, that would be a little bit too much, but nah, that will be too much to be AoE stripping on like a 19 base, or AoE steel stripping into death breaking on 19 base. To be honest, I wouldn't be even against that. Awaken base speed is 119 base. Like that, if they want to make it good, then I could see them doing that, because I don't really see what you can add to the S3 without making it like too crazy stupid. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe more attack bar gain, or S3 attack bar gain 30%. That could also be something like that, because then at least on 3 units you get 90, on 4 units you get 120. Then you can at least cycle, because now you're cycling towards 80. And if you give it 25, you are going towards 100, but you probably already outsped. So yeah, I think that this is probably a more let's just say this, like 20 to 30%. I think that is a more reasonable buff right there. This one, the fire one, I don't really expect any changes on it at all, because he already has like the damage increase, which is used for Temple of Chaos. I think he's still gonna remain a Temple of Chaos unit, and therefore I would say no change. That's just what I do expect. If we're gonna go towards the wind one, we have that S2 already mentioned from the water. So we have the S2 100% Death Break. And then we have the S3, which gives provokes and buff beneficial effect. I'm not sure why would this unit provoke in the first place. Like, he is kind of tanky-ish, yes. But does that really add too much? Most of the provoke units out there just do way more than this. I could see, if we're going to go kind of weird, is S3 1 hit into 2 hits. It's something like that. That's the only thing that I'm thinking of, like, yo, that could make somewhat of sense, but not sure. Dark one, I think Dark one is kind of fine-ish. Well, no, not really. Like, if we look at the win rate and pick rate, it's not that much. It's just really specific against specific teams. But what would you do with that? Stun on enemies. Afterwards, you're guaranteed 1 turn stun on yourself. Yep. When you fall under inabilities, yep, in addition, creation, when you, okay. I would say is a remove stun on turn. Like, I think that if he does this, because now he stuns himself, he gets extra attack speed, but for that 1 turn, he still doesn't do anything. So if he removes the stun on turn, then I think that will be fair for him, so he can at least use his skill 1 right after that again, and can cycle back faster into his S2. Because right now, being stunned is kind of annoying. That's one of those things. And I think for the light one, easiest thing they can do is ignore Oblivion, because now he draws Oblivion to himself. And then he kills his own passive, which is just stupid. So either don't transfer Oblivion to yourself or make him immune to Oblivion. So I would say even immune to Oblivion. I think that would be fair. Jessica's the same thing, and yeah, that would just make sense. Plus the S2 is going to be an S2 is 100% activation. Death Break. I think that those buffs definitely do make a lot of sense on these units. Then outside of that, buffs are always hard to see. We do get Indra skins. So could we see another Indra buff? I think all of the Indra, actually all 5 Indras are usable. They're not necessarily really good one another always, but 52 win rate, this thing a little bit lower, but more is of a siege unit. This thing is already kind of being used. I'm not sure if they would start upping his damage once again, but we could say Indra buffs due to skin, and we do also have Beast Monk buffs due to skin. Like, those things could potentially get a buff, but I'm not really sure how you want to buff those without making them crazy good. I think that these two really have the issue of fighting the Stark at the moment, and the others are kind of fine in their own respect already. So I think that these Indras are kind of decent, but a slight tweak on them, I could see it happening. Beast Monks, however, I think all of the Beast Monks are kind of fine-ish. They're definitely not really RTA units in the first place, except maybe a Kumar. But you do tend to see them in Siege, but maybe a small tweak to them somewhere. I'm not really sure, but it might be something that could happen. Also, units that are still not really strong, but they are getting, like, slowly chipping in more and more buffs to the point where at some point they're going to be crazy strong, is Hwarang family. So I wouldn't be surprised if they also get something similar to, like, the Paul family. Like, they're all, like, Fire Paul's kind of usable right now. The other ones not as much. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get a slight bit of a tweak at some point as well. But then the big question, last few balance patch, they haven't been doing it, but any awakening or leader skill changes? Because for that, we also have a few options out there, of course. The Legolas family does have a arena lead in there, but they don't have any speed leeches yet. So any of the Legolases could become a speed lead in arena. And then I would aim mainly on fire / wind / light, because those are the 5 stars. And any of those with a good lead on 28 on speed would become very viable, all 3 of them. Jin family, same thing. Jin family also does have a speed lead potential, so then it could go towards the Wind one, but Wind one recently already got a new 33 lead, so I kind of doubt that this one would get it. So it would go either towards the Dark or the Fire. I really don't hope the fire, but yeah, these are the options, and this one I think not. So therefore, please don't put this on fire. Like, don't give this fire Jin Kazama 28 lead on. No, don't, really don't. Like, give that to this dark dude. I think he would still be trash, to be honest, if he gets a 28 lead. He might be a something. So I think the dark one, I would say the dark one is most deserving for it, where I would say, if you give him a 28 arena lead, it would make a lot of sense. Now, of course, that these are leader changes, not awakening changes. With this one, list goes on and on. We still got like Ian, we still got Lucifer, we still got, well, Freerun right now, we still got Dark Daragorn, or whatever that thing is called, slash. There's so many trash res leads out there. So for that reason, this one just goes pretty long. This one is a little bit more doable. What we could also be looking at is second 33 speed lead water, second 33 speed lead fire. So the 33 leads would be towards a family that already has an arena lead, but none of them have the 30 or have the speed lead yet. So what could be the one for fire? Options that you could be is Daphnis, because now it's a crit rate lead, or very weirdly enough, Fire Pure Vanilla. Rocky, that could be an option. Bludja is an option. Daragorn itself is an option. I don't think so, but is an option. Carnal could be an option. Fire Justice, which is actually a pretty strong unit. If she gets the 33 leads, she will be very strong. Or a John. I think that these could be the options if we want to make any of the fire units a 33 lead. Units that I would personally like is, I wouldn't mind Rocky on the 33 lead, would be kind of cool. Fire Justice, I think that those would be my takes. So I think I would go for these three as my takes. Let's look at what we have for water. Oh wait, probably you guys in the comment section already saying it. Daphnis is on the family where you already have a 33 lead, which is of course the Smath. So Daph is not gonna happen. The others all could happen. Yes, Daphnis would have been fun, but double 33 lead in the family ain't gonna happen. Well, let's see what we have for water. Belial is an option. Irene, please not. Bornir, but he would be a fucking useless. Anyways, that wouldn't change anything. Water Justice is the one with the cleanses and stuff. I wouldn't be against that. Bath as 33 leads will be pretty strong, I think. Ezio Water, that would be pretty darn strong as well with a booster and a high base. Adriana, I'm pretty sure is never gonna get the 33 lead, but could be a thing. Oh wait, now that I think of it, Trix is also not possible. I was thinking to put Kid in here, but they also have a family that already has a 33 lead. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of it. So for here, I would say my takes probably goes towards my takes. I would say, once again, the Justice to add leads to them. Any of the others, like a Bath or an Ezio or like Irene, I would just not enjoy. The others don't make that much sense or would make them too good. So I would say Water Justice once again to have like the take on, yeah, Water Justice becoming a 33 lead. I could see that happening. So yeah, these are pretty much all of my takes that I'm expecting on buffs and nerfs. Big question is, of course, when are they going to push it any earlier than they normally do? But yeah, Windstark, is he going to get a nerf? That is also the big question. I think that these are the biggest questions. Like, is the Windstark actually going to get a nerf? And then on top of that, which random units gets the buff like we had last rotation with the Lima just becoming super good? And yeah, then let's see if they also do something on like the general strong units, the Shio, Megumi, the Josephine. Those kind of things, if they actually get a nerf or not. Layla, maybe. Always one of those that's also on the talking table. For buffs, I definitely do expect the Plasmas to get some random buffs. I am hoping some Awakening and Leader changes. That could definitely be cool. And then outside of that, we could see some random buffs towards like a Tessarion or a Tanisha if they don't nerf the Stark. Mainly to start countering the Stark. But I think that Tessarion, if you give Tessarion a cleanse block where he doesn't get, or the enemy doesn't get rid of the Oblivion that easily, I think he could become very strong, because he also goes for a 1-turn Oblivion into 3-turn Oblivion if you hit that the second time. If you cleanse off a 3-turn Oblivion, it's like, yo, why did I even place that? If it is staying because of the cleanse block, he will be crazy good. So yeah, that could be one of those ways where I think he could also be really good for like Siege and everything. But we'll see if they do that, guys. Thanks for watching for this one. Let me know in the comments what you would like to hope for a balanced patch, but also what you expect to see for a balanced patch. And see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.